This time tomorrow, we will be closing in on revealing the first results in the 2018 midterm election. So far, at least 31 million early or absentee ballots have been cast in the first nationwide test of the Trump presidency. At this point, in the last midterms in 2014, that number was only about 19 million. President Trump himself has been advising supporters to vote as if he is on the ballot. It's an attempt to defy history and keep Republican control of Congress. To do so, political newcomer President Trump is throwing out the conventional playbook and bringing back his own, except now with less substance and more fear.
They all say, speak about the economy, speak about the economy. Well, we have the greatest economy in the history of our country. But sometimes it's not as exciting.
What President Trump apparently does find exciting is fomenting fear and doling out falsehoods at a clip that seems dual-purposed to also be a federal employment program for fact-checkers. Here's the president falsely suggesting that Democrats invited this caravan.
And I think it's a good thing maybe that they did it. Did they energize our base or what?
Last night in Tennessee, the president rattled off a series of false claims about the leadership of the Democratic Party and their agenda, all within 60 seconds.
They want to raise your taxes by double and even by triple. They want to take away your health care. They want to impose socialism on our country. Democrats want to invite caravan after caravan of illegal aliens to pour into our country.
So that's false, 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 and false. There was once a time when politicians could be shamed away from blatant lies, but that time seems a distant memory. The president paints a picture of Democratic control of Congress that is as nonsensical as it is dystopian, with a healthy wallop of racial division, talking about marauding hordes of undocumented Latinos causing the country to become overrun with criminals.
Even you in Montana, you're not going to be able to walk around. You'll be locking those doors. You'll be locking those windows.
Right. The president's latest ad is so full of falsehoods, so racially incendiary, not only CNN, but NBC and Facebook and Fox News are refusing to air it. Contemplate that for a second. Now, as a purely political matter, it may be that this ploy works in rallying the president's base and saving some House and Senate seats, but Republican officials in Washington are worried about the impact on also serving to rally Democratic voters and turn off swing voters in those key suburban districts. Now, some Republicans hope the strong economic numbers are what the public will ultimately pay attention to. Unemployment at 3.7%, a 49-year low. Hispanic unemployment at its lowest rate ever. Wages at a relatively robust growth after years of stagnant paychecks. Republicans hope voters focus on that and not on the normalizing of demonization of undocumented immigrants, bald-faced lying, violations of basic decency. In a matter of hours, the American people will get the final say. CNN's Caitlin Collins is in Cleveland, Ohio, where President Trump just finished one of his final 3 rallies before Election Day. And Caitlin, you're learning that the White House officials have advised the president to brace for Republican losses in the House.
That's right, Jake. Inside the White House, they do not feel confident at all about keeping the House, and they're trying to temper the president's expectations ahead of tomorrow. Now, President Trump has been insistent that these midterms are not a referendum on him and his agenda, but he told the crowd here in Cleveland, and I'm quoting him now, in a sense, I am on the ticket. President Trump delivering his closing argument in a final 3-state Midwest mad dash before voters head to the polls.
I think we're doing great in the House. I think we're doing great in the Senate. But who knows?
Despite what Republicans had hoped for, the president's final message has been light on the booming economy.
America now has the hottest economy on earth.
But heavy on immigration.
That's an invasion.
As he continues to paint a dark picture of a caravan of migrants still hundreds of miles away from the U.S.-Mexico border.
These are rough people in many cases.
Those remarks coming as NBC, Fox News, and Facebook have all decided to stop running a controversial ad paid for by the Trump campaign and widely criticized as racist because it ties an illegal immigrant convicted of murdering police officers to the caravan.
Dangerous illegal criminals like cop killer Luis Bracamontes don't care about our law.
Trump said today he hadn't heard it was being pulled.
A lot of things are offensive. Your questions are offensive a lot of times.
Even though he says the midterms aren't a referendum on him, Trump urging his supporters to mobilize.
In a certain way, I am on the ballot. Whether we consider it or not, the press is very much considering a referendum on me and us as a movement.
The president visiting 3 more states he won in 2016 today, starting in Ohio, then on to Indiana and Missouri, where he'll be joined by right-wing firebrands Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity. The president is ramping up his attacks on Democrats in the final days.
Democrats want to invite caravan after caravan.
As he goes head-to-head with former President Barack Obama.
They're telling us that the single most grave threat to America is a bunch of poor, impoverished, broke, hungry refugees 1,000 miles away.
Obama didn't mention Trump by name, but he didn't have to.
Unlike some people, I don't just make stuff up when I'm talking. I've got facts to back me up.
With voters set to deliver their verdict on his first 2 years in office, sources tell CNN White House aides have braced the president for a loss in the House, but feel hopeful they can hold on to the Senate. President Trump is hedging his bets.
The difference is I can't campaign for all of those House members. There's so many of them.
Now, Jake, President Trump just wrapped up after an hour here in Ohio. He's going on to Indiana, then Missouri. He's been campaigning nonstop the last 2 weeks, 2 or 3 rallies a day. But I'm told by someone inside the White House he has nothing on his schedule tomorrow. He's going to sit back and watch and see if all this campaigning has paid off, Jake.